My name is Lisa Thompson, and I live in a quiet suburb of Austin, Texas. I used to think that love was supposed to last forever, until my marriage to David shattered that illusion. For 12 years, I stood by him. I believed in him. I gave everything to our life together, from raising our son Caleb to building our home from the ground up. But in the end, love wasn't enough for David. He walked away like it all meant nothing. The divorce was messy. Not in the legal sense, we kept it civil for Caleb's sake, but emotionally, it tore me apart. I felt like a failure, like I hadn't been enough for the man I had once given my entire heart to. For months after David left, I walked through life like a ghost. I went to work, made dinner, helped Caleb with homework, and stared blankly at the television at night. I cried more nights than I could count, silently, in the darkness of my empty room. Caleb was only 11 when it happened. He didn't fully understand why Dad wasn't around anymore. Sure, we explained it to him gently. We told him it wasn't his fault. We said we both loved him very much. But he still had questions we couldn't answer. Why didn't Daddy come to soccer games anymore? Why didn't he call as often? Why did he seem to be smiling in pictures with someone new on social media? I tried to protect Caleb from my bitterness. I hid my tears and forced smiles. I wanted to be strong for him. But one day, as we were walking through the grocery store, something shifted. Caleb looked up at me while holding a box of cereal and said, "You're prettier when you're happy, Mom. I miss your real smile." I froze in the cereal aisle, my hand tightening around the shopping cart. That small, innocent comment from my son hit me harder than all the therapy sessions and self-help books combined. He wasn't trying to be wise or make a statement. He was just a kid, speaking from his heart. And he was right. I had forgotten how to be happy. I had forgotten who I was before David. That night, after Caleb went to bed, I sat on the porch and watched the stars. I made a promise to myself, one that would change everything. I wasn't going to let my past define me anymore. I wasn't going to live in the shadows of a broken marriage. I was going to find happiness again, not through someone else, but through myself. And maybe, just maybe, through my relationship with my son. From that day forward, I made small but meaningful changes. I started with morning walks with Caleb before school. We'd talk about everything, from the books he was reading to the silly jokes he made up. I enrolled in a local pottery class, something I'd always wanted to do but never had the time or support to pursue. Caleb loved hearing about my new clay adventures, as he called them. He even asked if he could join, and soon enough, we were making mugs and bowls together on Saturday mornings. Our bond deepened. Without realizing it, Caleb was helping me heal. He was my reason to get up in the morning with purpose. Watching him grow into a thoughtful, kind, and clever young boy made me proud beyond words. He would leave sticky notes for me on the bathroom mirror with little drawings and encouraging messages. "You've got this, Mom." Or, "You're doing great." We started a tradition called Friday night feasts. Every Friday, we'd cook dinner together. Sometimes it was spaghetti. Other times we experimented with taco night or homemade pizzas. Music would play in the background, usually old 90s hits I used to love, and we'd dance and laugh like nothing else in the world mattered. One night, while we were eating mac and cheese on the couch and watching an old comedy movie, Caleb looked at me and said, "I'm glad it's just us sometimes. You always listen. And you're not sad anymore." It stopped me in my tracks. Not sad anymore. I realized I hadn't cried in weeks. I hadn't even thought about David that much recently. Sure, the memories came now and then, but they didn't sting like they used to. It was like the part of my heart that David once occupied had quietly made room for something better. Peace, contentment, and unconditional love from my son. One afternoon, as we drove to his soccer practice, Caleb turned down the music and asked, "Do you think you'll ever get married again?" I laughed gently. Maybe. Someday. If the right person comes along. But right now, I'm just really happy being your mom. He smiled and said, "Good. I like it just the way it is." Caleb's words stayed with me. They weren't meant to discourage me from finding love again, they were simply honest. He liked the stability we had, the laughter, the security. And frankly, so did I. As time passed, I stopped comparing every happy moment to what I had lost. Instead, I cherished what I had gained. I had a son who loved me for who I was, flaws and all. A boy who reminded me how to smile again. A young soul who unknowingly mended the pieces of my broken heart, one day at a time. When David called on Caleb's 13th birthday, it was the first time in a while I didn't feel resentment. He asked to speak to Caleb, and I passed the phone along. I watched as my son talked with polite distance, his voice cheerful but reserved. He had changed. He had grown. David had missed so much, and that was his loss, not ours. That night, Caleb opened his birthday gift from me, tickets to a local Comic-Con, where his favorite author was going to be signing books. He screamed with excitement and hugged me tightly. "You're the best, Mom. Seriously, the best." As he ran to his room to call his friends and tell them, I sat there, holding the torn wrapping paper and smiling. That moment was everything. No man had ever made me feel as complete as my son did in that instant. Later that evening, I wrote in my journal, a habit I had picked up again during my healing. I wrote the words that had been lingering in my heart for months. My son made me forget my ex-husband, and I'm happy. I thanked him today, with laughter, love, and freedom. I owe this peace to him. Life didn't turn out the way I thought it would. I never imagined being a single mother, navigating pain, and rediscovering myself. But sometimes, the best parts of life are the ones we don't plan for. Caleb gave me more than joy. He gave me purpose, identity, and a reason to smile again. Eventually, I did start dating again. Not out of desperation or loneliness, but from a place of confidence. I met someone kind and understanding, someone who respected my bond with Caleb and appreciated the woman I had become. But even then, I knew nothing would ever match the healing that had started with that one little boy and his innocent wisdom. The love between a mother and son can't be measured. It's quiet but powerful, invisible but real. Caleb reminded me that love isn't always about grand gestures or romantic declarations. Sometimes, it's about sharing cereal in the morning, making pottery mugs together, and dancing in the kitchen while dinner simmers on the stove. He didn't try to fix me. He just loved me. And that was enough to help me find myself again. Looking back now, I realize I didn't lose anything when David walked away. I gained something better, a chance to start over, to grow, and to see the world through my son's eyes. Eyes that believed I was strong. Eyes that saw beauty in my flaws. Eyes that, even on my worst days, never gave up on me. And that's something worth more than any love I thought I lost.